This is a meditation that's just sort of a test meditation, so it won't be that long. In this meditation, just close your eyes and settle into your body. Maybe take a few minutes to visualize a scene from nature or a place where you feel safe. And as you do this, remind yourself that for these few minutes, there's nowhere you need to go, there's nothing else you need to do right now. Have the intention that this is time for yourself. And as you visualize this place where you feel safe, apply all your senses. Don't only see it, also try to bring in the sights, the sounds. Involve your senses in any way you can. Now, once you've spent some time in this relaxing space, turn your attention toward your breath. You don't want to manipulate your breath in any way. Just simply observe it. Just lightly notice the breath. And note when you're breathing in and note when you're breathing out. For some people, especially at the beginning, it's helpful to think in and out on each breath. Other people count the out breath and they'll count to 10 and then they'll start recounting, from 1 again. Or if they get lost, they'll start from 1 again. And this is a good basic meditation because it makes you aware of just how distractible you are, the kind of things that go through your mind. And if your breath is a little ragged or anxious, don't judge yourself for it. Just notice what is. Notice what's happening. There's no need to change it. The breath is a good object of awareness because 1, it's in the present moment. 2, it's always with you. And 3, it could serve as an anchor for other more advanced types of meditation. The development of concentration by focusing on the breath is critical. So sort of hold my voice in the background, and in the foreground, notice your breaths. What inevitably happens is that you'll be carried away by the train of thought or by some distraction or fantasy or worry. What you want to do, how you want to handle that, is gently. Because not only are you developing concentration, you're developing unconditional friendliness and a non-judgmental attitude toward yourself. It's very much like training a puppy when it's learning to go to the bathroom in the right place. The puppy, will go to the newspaper and then it'll wander off the newspaper and you gently pick it up and put it back on the newspaper. Then it'll wander off again. And when it does, you'll pick the puppy up again and put it back on the newspaper. That's a perfect analogy for the training of attention on the breath. You don't kick the puppy, you don't beat the puppy. You just gently redirect it. And that's what you do when your mind wanders. If you find that you're caught in the middle of a thought, just label thinking is happening, or if it's a strong feeling is happening, and then return your attention to the breath, either labeling the in breath and the out breath with in and out, or some people like rising for the inhalation and falling. So do that for a little while. And now do a quick scan of your body from head to toe, and I'm going to direct that a little bit. First, see if you could notice any subtle sensations at the top of the head. And while you're doing this body scan, you could let go of the breath a little bit. And then move your attention down to your forehead. Notice if there's any tension there. And imagine that your forehead is like a broad field. And just have the intention for that to relax. Physiologically, the frontalis muscle, which that corresponds to, is associated with overall tension. It's associated with migraine headaches, insomnia. So developing an awareness of it is a good thing. Then notice the muscles of your jaw. Are your teeth clenched? Is there tightness there? Let your teeth come apart a little bit, and even your lips could be open imperceptibly. And just be curious, have an attitude of inquiry. And then move down to your throat. Notice if there's any clenching occurring there, any tightness. See if you could let that go. Now, something you probably don't pay very much attention to, but it's important, is the tongue posture, the position of the tongue. It's interesting, but the more your tongue is contracted or pushing hard or moving, the more discursive thought tends to occur. And actually you see a different brainwave pattern than if your tongue is very relaxed. So you could think about holding the tongue against the tip, relaxed against the upper front teeth or palate where the teeth meet the palate, or having it be broad and relaxed in the mouth. Just observe what you're doing and see how it feels to let the tongue relax. Now notice your shoulders. Are they up around your ears? If they are, note that and see if it feels okay to let go, to let the shoulders drop. And when there's pauses between what I'm saying, just return your attention to the breath. labeling it or counting. Noticing the sensations associated with it. You could deepen your awareness by paying attention to the very subtle sensation of where the air touches the skin at the periphery of one of the nostrils. It's a very subtle sensation, and it'll really sharpen your attention. You might try that in this meditation or future one. Or the rise and fall of the abdomen, which is a little easier. That might be a better place to start for this first meditation. And follow the length of the breath from its beginning all the way to the exhalation. In other words, do you check out in the middle of an inhalation or an exhalation? Try to rivet your attention to the entire duration of the inhalation and then the entire duration of the exhalation. Your mind is going to wander. And, part of the meditation and the benefit of it is noticing just how wild the mind could be. It's a monkey mind. It swings like from branch to branch. So just notice that without being harsh. That's another thing to notice. How do you talk to yourself? What's the tone of voice? Is it judgmental? Do you beat yourself up? Is it gentle? Is it loving? And you are at the same time that you're counting breaths or noting the breath, cultivating that unconditional kindness toward yourself called Maitri in the Buddhist tradition. And maybe by now you've noticed that you feel somewhat more relaxed. Finish scanning your body, your throat, your chest, your hips and pelvic region, then down both arms and down both legs. And again, you could let go of the attention on the breath while you're doing that. But you may be able to do it and keep some awareness of the breath. In the beginning, you'll find it's easier to do all these things, if you have my voice as a crutch. But it's important to experiment with doing this meditation without the crutch of my voice. Now, gently return your attention to the breath. Just let it be. Let the breath breathe you. Don't try to interfere with the breath. And now you'll notice, I'm asking you to notice, that between every inhalation and exhalation, and between every exhalation and inhalation, there's a little turnaround. There may be a brief pause between the inhalation and exhalation, and the exhalation and inhalation. Turn your attention toward that for a few minutes. Absolutely rivet your attention on the gap between the inhalation and exhalation and the exhalation and inhalation. And again, if there's a thought that distracts you or you lose touch with the breath, just gently label thinking's happening or whatever, or, fantasy, and one word label. And like training the puppy, bring your attention gently back to the gaps between the breaths. And as you do this, you may notice that the gaps may start to merge into a stillness that extends for the entire duration of the breath. In other words, by paying attention to the still points between breaths, a sort of overall stillness arises that starts to cover over the whole breath. And it's like at each gap you're falling deeper into your body. You're getting more connected, or connected in a new way to the present. So the invitation at this point is to regard each individual breath, which corresponds to a moment of now, as the entire meditation. So take your awareness, place it at the beginning of the breath, follow the sensations of the breath, either in the abdomen or the friction of the air column with the side of the nostril. Follow it as though your life depended on it, without, driving yourself into anxiety, but assume the meditation is one breath. That's it. But then when the next breath arises, assume that's the whole entire meditation. And I'm going to not speak for a few minutes so that you could experience what that's like. Okay, so you're staying with each breath. Again, let my voice be in the background. And get a feeling, a felt sense, not a cognition, not a thought, of the state of your body as a whole. Can you feel your body as a whole? Are there any parts of your body you can't feel? In other words, I'm noticing my back and I'm noticing my shoulders, but I don't notice my legs. I don't feel them. Can you get a felt sense of your whole body? How about if you direct your attention, it's a shift of attention, that's what we're learning to work with here, to the surface of your skin. Could you feel any little areas of warmth or cold? Can you feel any subtle air currents on your arm or on your neck? What does it feel like to shift your attention to the surface of your skin? Do you feel more vulnerable? Do you have a greater sense of the body? Are you more aware of feelings? Are there areas of coldness, pressure, warmth? Do you notice the sensations at the bottom of your left foot? Is your right hand hot or cold? Did any tension sneak in? So in the last few minutes of the meditation, imagine that your consciousness is not confined to your head or to the boundaries of your body. Imagine there's a door in outer space, and with the inhalation, the door blows open, or the door blows towards you, comes towards you, and on the exhalation, it blows open. But imagine that your mind is like the sky, that your consciousness is that expansive, it's not limited to the body. And use the metaphor of the door, or the visualization of that, as the anchor for your breath. The door swings in with the inhalation, and then it swings out. You might notice by now you may be feeling tired or even falling asleep. This is where sitting properly or posture comes into play. In general, it's good to sit upright with a straight spine in a dignified manner. With traditional wisdom says, body like mountain, mind like sky. Some people hold their hands in their lap. They sit in a chair. Others sit on a cushion with their butt elevated and their knees, in contact with the ground. Some kneel on a block in hero position. But there should be a sense of presence, a sense of alertness. The idea is not to go to sleep, it's to cultivate relaxed alertness. In fact, ideally, you would feel more present. And now you could use the analogy of the sky. If any thoughts come by, you could think of them as like clouds in the sky passing. And with the exhalation, you're sort of blowing away the cloud cover so that you could expose the clear consciousness of big mind. Now my voice is going to stop completely, and you could continue meditating as you are for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Only a little bit of time has passed, approximately 26 minutes. So in the future, you may want to set a timer for 30 minutes or 35 minutes or 40 minutes where you don't have my voice as a support or a distraction, and see where that takes you. By taking the time to meditate and cultivate your awareness, your mindfulness, it's much less likely for you to be caught in your conditioning, to go on autopilot. This gift of 30 minutes that you give to yourself will give yourself back many times that. And in a moment of anger, or in a moment of love, or where compassion is required, you're going to catch yourself in conditioned mind much more often. And you're going to save yourself and other people some amount of suffering. Not to mention, you'll heighten the awareness of your body, your emotional states, and awareness ultimately translates into control. You can't control things you're not aware of. So notice if conditioned mind is telling you this is a waste of time or it's not a good investment. Your conditioning is definitely going to kick up. And that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. If you notice that, it means you're doing it right. Samatha vipassana meditation. Calm abiding in insight. That's what this technique is called, and it's foundational, and from this base you'll build further. But, try it every day for 30 days, preferably at the same time every day. It's important to sit with different mindsets, anger, anxiety, and that's not likely to happen if you do it randomly. If you do it randomly, what's likely to happen is you're going to meditate when you feel like it in a good mood. And often you learn the most when you sit when you don't want to sit, or when you're anxious, or when you're distracted in some way. May loving kindness arise in your meditation. And may you find that this lays the foundation for opening your heart in deeper and deeper ways. so that you could touch and people in a different way. Be more of who you are, who you really are, underneath the mask. And most importantly, to free yourself from your conditioning, to wake up to your true nature. By doing this, you'll have more freedom. The less time you spend on autopilot, the more free you are to choose. And if you have more moments of choice, you have more opportunities to choose love. When you're unaware, invariably you'll be caught in your own conditioning. And it's like being caught between the jaws of a dangerous animal. Traditionally, they call it being caught between the jaws of the mental afflictions. Runaway anger, runaway lust, mindless grasping at good experiences. Everything could be brought to the meditation cushion is grist for the mill, good and bad. It's how you do what you do that's more important than what you do. If you're mindfully sharpening a pencil and you're 100% present to it, it's a different experience than when you're strongly identified with your discursive mind. So carry on with the meditation as long as you feel comfortable. Namaste.